To give you a little glimpse of what this looks like right now, these guys are the second generation repair efforts, but they've basically just broken apart. You can replace these every few years. I'm going to clean the ones up that seem like they can be repaired a little bit. These burners are also replacements. I purchased these when the other burners rotted out and rusted out, and basically what you do is you just fit them right in there. They kind of go in loosely. There's not, you would think that with propane it would just stick into a really well fitted piece, but it doesn't really. This one right here is all rusted out. This one is on its way. I'm going to replace this one. I bought a new one. I have it right here. I probably will need to get another one. This one is a stainless steel tube burner. It telescopes. So if you don't have the exact length, you can just unscrew this and pull it out, and the tube will extend to the full length. I'm gonna also clean all this crap out, and it doesn't look like the whole bottom has rotted out yet, but I'm gonna have to vacuum out this crap too, and I'll show you what it looks like after I get all this stuff taken out. Okay, so what I would do is assess the things that you can fix. This one is still in somewhat decent shape, so I'm going to probably save this one. This one is getting a little floppy, but it still will hold off for a little while. These ones I think are maybe toast. These two burners I'm going to try to clean up with this brush and maybe a wire brush here. This back of the back of the grill here, I'm gonna try to take some angle iron and cut it to fit so that the tubes can rest on them down here. They need to kind of be about level, and I think the angle iron will hold that off fairly decently. To replace the parts, I got this stainless steel tube like I mentioned before, and I also have these adjustable heat tents. These also telescope out so they fit. So I'm going to clean out the grill, vacuum it out, scrape it, try to make sure that the insides are holding up pretty well. The grates here are in pretty good shape, luckily. These grates are still in really good shape. They're not rusting out. And I think I'll be able to get another season or two out of this before I have to replace it. All right, when you go to vacuum this, I would use a shop vac because it's something that's designed for it. I wouldn't use your house vacuum or a dust buster. I just don't think it would be the best idea because there's a lot of crud in here that you got to take out of here. And it's going to be kind of a mess, and it would be better to go into something that's used to taking that kind of gunk. Okay, this could look a lot worse, so I'm thankful for that. I've seen other videos where the people trying to repair their grill, it looks like the whole bottom has fallen out, where I don't think that's the case in this instance. I mean, I am not going to be worried about getting this perfect. It's not going to be a restoration, like a full-on restoration kind of video. So those of you who like that kind of porn, I don't think it's going to provide that for you. What I'm basically trying to do is just get all the gunk out of here as much as possible, so I can assess how much damage is done to the actual steel. And one of the reasons I'm trying to keep this grill going as long as I can is because it's fairly sturdy steel, and it's been a pretty good grill, pretty reliable. So I think all I have to do is get that shelf there for the burners and clean this out a little bit more, vacuum it out, and then get the burners in and see how it goes. One thing I would advise is wearing some of these gloves when you're messing around with this, because there's a lot of pokey things and rusted metal and just greasy, grimy stuff, and it would be good to just protect your hands. So this piece right here is not going to be usable. I'm going to be getting rid of this one. This one right here with this crack, I don't think I can probably salvage this, but this one I'm going to take this wire brush and I'm just going to go down this and see if I can clean it up a little bit more. It might make the jets work a little bit better. Okay, I have a little bit of angle iron that I'm going to use as a bit of a shelf that I'm going to put here. So I'm going to measure this, and then I'm going to cut it with this grinder. I would suggest using a cutoff wheel instead of a thick grinder wheel, because it's much better suited for cutting this kind of steel. And this is thick enough stuff where using a hacksaw or a sawzall might take a long time. With that cut out, my basic idea was, you know, this is pretty thick angle. I'm just going to put that in here like this, and then that'll give a little bit of a table for the ends of the burners to rest on over here, because they used to have a bracket that has since rotted and rusted off. When you go to put these back in, one of the things you might want to look at is this right here. This little piece right here is an adjustable venturi, and basically what that is it allows air and gas to mix here. That venturi is how you change the intensity of the flame coming out of this. So if it's open, I'm probably going to leave it like this for these ones, but with the new one that I'm putting in, I might change it so I can maybe get a higher searing temperature from it. Like I said, when you go to put these in, you're gonna just put this into the hole here, and it's gonna be fairly loose. It's not gonna be really super tight. It just kind of rests in there. It's not like a really heavy-duty socket. Now these kind of universal burners, what they do is you just pull this, you pull it out, and it telescopes out. So you're just gonna put this in here like this, plug it in, and then you're just gonna extend it as far as it'll go. In the case of this grill, I'm not necessarily screwing these down. I'm just gonna push them in there, and they're gonna rest. Now this thing carries excess gas down the trough here, and makes it so the other burners will light off of the igniter. One thing I should have mentioned is make sure to push these back all the way onto the post inside of here, because there is a little tube that comes out, and if you don't have that connected, you might have flame come out the top here, and that's not good. Another thing I needed to point out is on these telescoping tubes, you have this little key here. So when you expand this and you set this set screw to make sure it doesn't move back and forth and telescope in, you also need to put this little key in, and that makes sure that you have the holes lined up once you get it into the grill. Then you can just pull that key out. This one I turned off. This one's operating, but it's a little old, and I just wanted to point out that I'm going to change the venturi tube on the bottom of this when it cools down, so not as much gas comes out of it, so it won't have such high flames. This one needs to have the venturi closed a little bit too, because it should just be a blue flame. Now granted, I have it on high. We'll bring it down to medium or low. I'll bring it down to low. And it'll be a lot more blue, but if it's flickering that much, then you should probably close the venturi a little bit more. Now, even if you can get this stuff working again, I just want you to understand that this probably isn't going to last more than 1 or 2 seasons at best. Right now I have 3 burners working. I have one more that I'm going to have to buy a new one because I couldn't salvage really anything. This one has a huge break in it, and this one has a huge break in it, and it just shoots out fire. For these heat tents, what I would suggest you do is take one of the old ones that you know fits, put it underneath, and use that as your template for how long this should be. Okay, you have that sort of distance worked out on how long this thing should be. You take this nut and wing nut and you just put it into some of the holes on either side to lock it into place. So you'll put that one there and then tighten that wing nut just like that one. I have that one locked in now, so I can put this in over this burner, and then I can take one of these ones right here and put this here. These are just kind of holding on just out of sheer stubbornness. Then I have this one. This one's still working. It wouldn't hurt to eventually replace these. This one's like almost like paper. One of these is still usable, so I might, this one's actually in a little bit better shape than the other one. But I'll need to get some kind of bolt to hold it together because that just rotted out and rusted. So this is the venturi, I guess you could call it air intake, or it's where the air can mix with the gas for the burner. And you can change this. You loosen that, and then this will slide open, and that'll give a lot more oxygen. And then you can close it more so it's smaller. And basically what you do is you just adjust this. It kind of comes set at about this opening, and this is probably going to be what you need it at. But if you find that your flame is a little too orange and maybe making a kind of a whooshing noise, then you're going to want to close this a little bit more. So we're going to put this one in and fire it up and see whether we need to open it or close it. Okay, all of these are in. I'm going to turn on the gas. And I'm going to close this. Turn these all onto high. And then hit the starter. I can hear all of them ignite. These ones are looking pretty good. These ones are old and need to be replaced eventually. I'm going to try working on the venturis on these, but I think we're going to call that a success for now. I also bought a new one of these for about $14 because it wasn't showing any kind of temperature rising, and I'm seeing it rise already. So we have a functioning thermometer so far. Okay, when you put these in, you want to let them burn off their kind of manufacturing oil and whatnot. Doesn't look quite as perfect as a brand new one, but doggone it, it looks pretty darn good. I'm gonna burn whatever gunk was on these too. Okay, I'm gonna let that kind of cook for a while. So with all these extra parts and the new thermometer, I would say I spent about $90. Now there's some other kits and stuff you can buy on like Amazon and eBay that I don't know what I can't attest to their quality, but I think you might be able to get your old Kenmore grill back up and running for $50 to $100, which in my mind is worth it, because I wasn't really ready to spend $5 or $6 or even $1,000 for a really high quality one. You can get a really cheapo one for $200, but it's not going to hold up very long. And I know that this one held up at least for 10 years, so why not fix it and keep it out of the landfill for that much longer?